Here's our super exclusive news break. It's now confirmed that the lies of army doubters have been busted by China's own admission. Times Now gets you a video from China's CCTV where they claim to show footage from Galwan Valley. Now, in this particular show, the Chinese media claim that Indian troops came in large numbers and were not unarmed. This clearly busts the lies of the Congress, which had said that unarmed braves were sent into the Chinese lair. With the admission of a rattled China, will the army doubters now apologize? These are the images put out by China's CCTV showing Indian men in action in Galwan Valley. And this is a confirmation from the Chinese media, and this once again puts the doubts of army doubters at rest once and for all. Their lies have been busted by this admission from the Chinese media itself that shows that Indian troops came in large numbers and were not unarmed. Well, I'm going to go across quickly to Padmaja Joshi, who's joining me on the broadcast, and we will also bring in more elements on the show now. Padmaja, to you first. Will this once and for all put to rest the questions that those army doubters raised, some of them even going on to suggest that our men were actually sitting ducks in front of Chinese PLA, which was intruding into our territory?
Now let's examine this video specifically and what it shows. So there are 4-5 details that I want to point out. First of all, this has been put out by CCTV. This is the first ever report that the Chinese Mouthpiece television channel has actually done on the Galwan face-off. This report, for the first time, actually shows visuals, not just satellite images, but visuals of the site where the face-off took place in Galwan Valley at the place called the Vainala between India and China. Now, China says that not only did India build a helipad at the spot where the face-off took place, but that Chinese troops constructed a bridge. Now, the rest of this report, of course, is full of Chinese propaganda. But the very important thing that one must note is that these are actual on-the-ground pictures of Indian troops making bridges over the Galwan, of a helipad that has been built over there, and of how Indian troops were not caught napping, as some within India have said over the last few months. Now, what is important to note that these pictures are from May. They are dated May, and it shows a massive construction work that had been undertaken by Indian troops. And you can actually see that there is a bridge. Now, this is a temporary bridge which is built in forward areas by the Indian Army. These are engineers. This will be the corps of engineers of the Indian Army. And the men that you can see there, they are actually carrying a part of what is known as a jerry bridge. It is built in forward areas over water bodies. And all of this action has been captured and put out by the Chinese. So anyone who said that the Indians were caught napping, that you did nothing, in fact, these visuals show very clearly that India was also carrying out activities on its own land. What must be noted is that China in this video will say that, oh, Indians came onto our land, all of Galwan is ours, etc. That, of course, must be ignored because that's just Chinese propaganda. What must be noted is that this is the Vainala in Galwan, and as China itself has corroborated with pictures, India was carrying out these activities of building a bridge and a helipad on its land in Galwan.
That's right. Padmaja, stay with me. I want to bring in Pranesh as well, who will, in fact, help us understand these images that we have gained courtesy to the CCTV of China. And, you know, Pranesh, you can maybe expand a bit on the point that Padmaja was raising. Just these are the pictures from on ground. Indian troops making bridges in that particular area clearly goes on to say that there was never a time when we were on the back foot, essentially. We were always doing our job on the front lines. And, the doubters can perhaps take a look at this and maybe use this as reference.
The doubters have been silenced once and for all. For a while now, we've seen a commentary, a narrative that seems to suggest that Indian forces were pushed back, that our forces were defeated by the Chinese, that we were given a bloodied nose, but all of that is not correct, because for the first time we are not just looking at satellite pictures. We have accessed, and this is courtesy the Chinese state media. They put out these pictures, physical pictures, and not just satellite imagery. And I stress on that point because we've seen satellite imagery of different kinds suggesting different things. For the first time, Preeti, look what the Chinese are saying. And all those people, the naysayers in India, the likes of Rahul Gandhi, who believe that our forces surrender, this is not just a wake-up call, this is also a slap in their faces. Look at the 6 pictures that we've accessed. This is picture number 1. What you see across the river are Indian position, our forces, men in uniform. And here I am zooming in, and this is that part of the bridge that they are carrying in their hand that Padmaja was referring to. A temporary bridge that our forces were trying to build on this Vainala. Let's go to this next picture, and this gives you that sense of what the location is. You see the Galwan River in full spate, and you see our forces here on one side, and here some of them trying to make this bridge. This looks half complete, and one of our personnel is here. Let's go to the next picture, and this is the helipad. And the Chinese media is now suggesting that, look, we are the victims. When was the last time, Preeti, that you remember China crying victim? I don't remember in the recent past that China said that, look, we've been pushed back, that we have been made to, surrender whether land or something else, because China revels in the fact that it is an aggressor, that it is an aggressive force, that it is a force to reckon with.
Indeed.
Now, when the Prime Minister spoke about Marte Marte spirit of our braves in his June 16th address, he said, not an inch of our land, not an inch of our land was surrendered, and the Chinese commentary now vindicates that position. In fact, it goes on to say that forget surrender, the Indian forces marched forward so much so that the Chinese were spooked, they were rattled, they didn't know what to do. And this image is important because this H that you see is the helipad, and close to this area, somewhere here, this is that river where the Indian forces were trying to make that jerry bridge that Padmaja was talking about. Let's go to the next picture. You see heavy earth moving machinery here by the Indian forces. This is another picture, and let me show you one more. This is the top angle shot. This portion that we've circled in blue, this is the bridge that was finally built, and this is a close-up of that frame that Padmaja was talking about, forces carrying a part of that bridge. So this just goes on to tell you that don't believe the doubters. For the first time, if the Chinese are saying that we were rattled by Mazboot Bharat, that Indian forces came marching in, that they had an aggressive stance,
Right.
why are we listening to anyone else?
Of course. Let's in fact now expand further on these points highlighted by you, Pranesh and Padmaja. I want to go across to Mr. Nitin Gokhale, author and national security analyst, who's joining me on the broadcast now. Good afternoon, Mr. Gokhale. As my colleague was just mentioning that we were getting new and new satellite imagery experts almost cropping up every day, scaring the unsuspecting Indian about some sort of impending Chinese incursion on the Indian side of line of actual control. Today, what would you really tell them when the Chinese media itself is accepting that there was plenty of Indian action in that area, and you were one of those who was already, making us aware of that, but there were plenty who would doubt that narrative?
Well, I don't want to get into tutu meme with anybody, because I have always believed in putting out there what I know, the information that I have. And as you mentioned, I have always said that the Indian forces there were in large numbers. They were facing off with the Chinese, and of course India has been building its infrastructure in that area, both at the Y Junction as well as along the Shiok River, the DSDVO road that everybody now knows about. So therefore, I think what lesson one must draw from here is that leave the details and the deployment and how to deal with the Chinese at the local level to the local commanders. They know best. We sitting here in our studios and our AC rooms and homes can at best speculate or give them unsolicited advice. I have always believed that the Indian Army has known how to manage the border along the LAC, the line of actual control. The troops there, those who see in those pictures, for instance, the 16 Bihar battalion has been in the area for more than 2 years. So they know exactly where the LAC lies, where to stop the Chinese if they were trying to come in, and what measures to take. And Indian battalions, Indian troops have the engineering support. They also know exactly the topography. They know the season where the water can go neck high or shoulder high as far as Galwan and Shiok are concerned, because they are snow-fed rivers. And as the temperature rises in Ladakh, the water can go higher than normally expected. So therefore, I never had any doubts about this.
Right.
I'm glad that CCTV has caught the pictures, and CCTV is saying this. But let's give credit where it is due. It is the Indian Army, the Indian engineers, the Indian commanders, and the Indian military leadership which has dealt with the situation. Yes, there were unfortunate deaths, killed in action, 20 of our soldiers.
You mentioned an important point, Mr. Gokhale, that we need to leave the details to the local army commander who's working at the local level to really handle the situation, because they are the first ones to understand what's happening on ground in reality. But this also perhaps gives us another lesson in not, falling in the trap of interpreting satellite images, which has been happening for the last couple of weeks, or maybe I should say a month.
Well, I mean, what can I say? Because I've always been a very confused fellow as far as satellite images are concerned. I am not technically savvy. I do not understand satellite images because the same satellite picture has been interpreted in 2 or 3 different ways by different people. So, as I have said on various programs, also on your channel earlier, that I would believe my sources on the ground, the military sources, the government people who handle this, with a caveat that I just don't believe in getting information from one source, but I would take it from different sources, confirm it, check it, cross-check it, double-check it, and then only put it out. So I actually don't really understand satellite imagery. There are experts who have spent a lifetime. Only then they have arrived at their expertise. So I am actually intrigued by overnight experts who have sprung up in TV studios as well as in social media platforms.
Right.
And good luck to them for doing what they do. But I will continue to believe the military and the local commanders on the ground.
Sure. And Mr. Nitin Gokhale, I want to just cover a couple of more points with you. First is, as per your information on ground, now that, special representative level talks have also happened between NSA Ajit Doval and the Chinese foreign minister, and we are in a period of disengagement. What exactly is the Indian strategy on ground, and also how it has been shaping up? It's not just a matter of the month of June or the first week of July. It has been shaping up for a while now, perhaps for months leading up to this period. What is your understanding, sir?
Well, you remember that there have been 3 Corps Commander level meetings on 6th June, 22nd June, and 30th June. While the initial framework was arrived at on 6th June itself, it was on 22nd June that India put its foot down and said that such and such thing will have to be carried out by the Chinese, because they have been the aggressors and initiators of this episode of tension along the line of actual control. And it took another meeting on 30th June where the framework for implementation of those steps agreed upon on 22nd June were finalized. Now, according to that timetable that India has also spoken about in the official press release that was given out after National Security Advisor Ajit Doval spoke to his counterpart, Special Representative Wang Yi, that it will be a step-by-step phased first disengagement, then de-escalation, and then de-induction of a large number of Chinese forces who had come into the area along the LAC in their side of the border in Aksai Chin. the proof of the pudding, as I keep saying, is in eating. So we'll have to wait and watch until maybe the last troopers on the Chinese side go back to their peacetime locations. It's going to be a long process, but we should be patient about it.
All right, Mr. Gokhale, another question is about that curious case of pink tents. I would once again request you to reiterate the stand that you took earlier on this and answer once and for all the lobby which was trying to mislead us. I know you don't believe in politicization of this matter or tutu meme, but it needs to be clarified.
Well, as I said, again, now situation has changed on the ground. Now if satellite pictures are taken, perhaps you will not find either pink or white tents there, or actually they were not all tents, they were sangars, temporary bunkers as they are called in the military parlance. They are stone structures put up hastily to get a kind of shelter or a place where the soldiers can stop a bullet coming in case it is there, or even brave the elements. Because it is very cold in those areas, so they put up those sangars with stone structures of about 2.5-3 feet and put something on top of the structure, like for a roof. Now those were different colors. I mean, they were white color. There are pink color tents. They are called the multi-spectral camouflage netting. Which also has different colors.
Well, I really hope, Mr. Gokhale, that really answers that lobby which was trying to mislead a lot of us and trying to get us to fall in their trap. But stay with me, sir. I want to request my colleague Padmaja, who's also going to take up a few questions with you. Padmaja, over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Preeti. Hi, Nitin. I just wanted to ask a couple of questions. The first one being, in light of these pictures, what do you think happens to the argument that a soldier sent in? This is the charge made against the government that basically was made into sitting ducks at Galwan. Do you think effectively that is now?
Sorry, I lost you there, Padmaja. I just couldn't hear what you said. The voice was breaking. If the anchor can repeat perhaps the question if she's heard it.
Yes, sorry. I was asking, do you think the argument and the charge the government made earlier that soldiers made sitting ducks in Galwan has been effectively defined by these pictures which are now emerging from CCTV?
Well, yes, of course. But, where was the doubt? I mean, the protocol on the LAC is that soldiers do carry arms, but they carry it, the guns slung on their shoulders and the guns pointing downwards towards downwards. In a gesture which means that we are not intending to use it aggressively, or the firearms are not to be used. That's been the protocol for a number of years now on the LAC. I do not know why people even had a doubt that the Indian soldiers don't carry weapons there. So I think these pictures only reconfirm what many of us who have toured that area, have lived with the troops there, knew. But I'm glad that confirmation has come now.
Thanks also very much. Thank you very much for joining us here on this special broadcast, and that why that you have left hanging. We are also at a complete loss of explanation as to why would some people in India doubt our own security forces and their efforts at the line of actual control. Is it more about politics than anything else? And is it the right time, right place and the right situation to play politics? I want to bring in others as well on the broadcast now who are joining me. Major General G.D. Bakshi, our consulting editor Maruf Raza, along with the National Affairs editor Srinjoy Chaudhary and senior editor Pradeep Datta are with me on this broadcast. And perhaps Mr. G.D. Bakshi, Major General G.D. Bakshi, is the right man to answer from where Nitin Gokhale left. General Bakshi, will you ever be able to understand why would some people doubt our forces? Today, it's the Chinese media which has once again confirmed or rather reiterated what our forces have been maintaining all along, what the government has been maintaining all along, that we were never on the back foot at the line of actual control.
Look, please have faith in your army.
It's a really complex testimony. It's not the same army that went to war with China in 1962 and got the worst of it. Like I keep saying, lakhs of tons of water have flown down the Brahmaputra since then. You have a Chinese army which has not fought in the last 42 years. And you have an Indian army which after 62 fought the 65 war, won the 75 war decisively, fought in Sri Lanka, fought in Maldives, fought in Kargil, and has been fighting counter-insurgency and counter-terrorist campaigns right throughout. Today, it's a very combat-hardened army. It's a very toughened force. It's a highly professional force. Please trust that force, and as Nitin said, leave it to the boys on the ground. The problem, it's only in terms of lessons learned. You see, our initial strategic communication policy was what we had adopted in Doklam. Doklam, we had clamped down totally. There was a complete clamp down on any talk because we did not want any incitement of the Chinese, this, that, and the other. And therefore, we went ahead, gone to more. That worked to an extent, and there were some shortcomings there. But when we retried it again, what we have found is that in our initial strategic communication, now it's first class. Now it's flowing very well, from the highest to the lowest level. But in the initial strategic communication, the total information lockdown that was enforced gave scope for a whole lot of armchair strategists, satellite imagery experts to have a field day. And each man was speculating as per his political predilections, whether he liked the government or he did not like the government. And, there were alarming reports. The commercial satellite imagery is rather low resolution. It's not like the very high resolution military satellite imagery which is available to the armed forces.
But the problem is, General Bakshi, that there are people who will not trust your government, there are people who will not trust your armed forces, and they will only trust the Chinese propaganda. This report, perhaps by Chinese media, would be the perfect answer for them. I'm going to request all our guests, Maruf, and also our reporters, Srinjoy and Pradeep, to please stay with me. We have to take a very quick break here in the broadcast. We'll be back with our super exclusive news break in just a bit. Stay with us. You're with us on Times Live 30. We are on our super exclusive news break, which confirms the lies from army doubters, and they have been busted by the Chinese media in a special report that they put out, in which several images were also shown from Galwan Valley that claim that Indian troops were present in the region in large numbers and were not unarmed. Let me go across to my colleague Pranesh first, who can explain to us those images that have featured in the Chinese media report. Pranesh, over to you. Explain to us.
Right, Preeti, thanks indeed. Let's go over these images one by one. What this underlines is not just how our forces defended our territory, every inch of it, but also how they decimated the morale of the Chinese, the morale of the PLA troops, and the commentary which is going on in the state-run Chinese media. We all know how the Chinese media operates. But the commentary really gives away the desperation and that sense of frustration that they are feeling.
Right.
I will go over these pictures one by one. Let's look at this, Preeti. You have all these men in uniform, Indian forces, carrying a small part of the bridge that they will make here, somewhere around here. This is the top shot that shows you where the bridge was built. We've circled this in blue. This just goes on to show, and this is that part, close up, zoomed in picture of the part that the forces were carrying here. Here what you see, that part is zoomed in this picture, makes it very, very clear. And look at the body language. Maruf can maybe throw more light on this. Look at the body language, not just in this picture, but also in the third picture. Here you go. See how they're marching forward, defending their territory. We are not an aggressor. We are not a force that will, do incursion on your territory. We will not do that. But having said that, we will defend every inch of our territory, and this captures that spirit, the gallantry of our Jawans in Galwan, now being admitted by the Chinese. And the other fact, Preeti, that the Chinese are not even admitting the casualty on their sides, just goes on to tell you how rattled they are.
That's right. Pranesh, thanks very much. In fact, I want to bring in Maruf on this point, who's with us on the broadcast. Maruf, like Pranesh said, that we are not an aggressive army, we are not an aggressor in the region, but at the same time, if anyone has doubts about our valor and our commitment to protect our integrity, then they should take a backseat now and for once and all, just stop doubting your own forces.
Yes, actually, that that point needs to be drummed home to those who oppose just for the sake of opposing. You know, if you look at the history of post-independence Indian Army's operations, they have excelled in every operation. In fact, even in World War I and World War II, the decisive force, I would argue, and as Srinath Raghavan's argued in his book called India's War, was really the Indian Army and its soldiers. So, you know, those who are doubting promises, they'll continue to do that because that's their job. That's what they're encouraged by their leaders to do. But let me bring out one or two interesting facts. Nowhere in history since independence, we have gone out and captured territory and taken over our adversary when there was no claim of ours there. With the exception of Siachen, again, it was the Pakistan Army that made the first set of attempts. We moved in to hold on to Siachen and we held on to it bloody well till the last 30-35 years. Now, in the case of Bangladesh, we went and liberated Bangladesh, came back. In case of Maldives, we went and put back the government, came back. In case of Sri Lanka, we gave a bloody nose to the LTT. We had a lot of disasters on our front, but we did what we could in the ill-defined objectives that was given to us. You know, people keep harping on 62, but they don't harp on the fact it was the very political leaders that they look up to were responsible for the blunders of 62, who didn't let our soldiers fight. And let me bring out one very interesting fact, and I don't think anybody's talked about it of late, that there is a former Chinese military official, the son of a leader of the Chinese Communist Party. His name is Jianli Yang, and he just written in the New York Times to say that more than 100 Chinese soldiers were killed in the dreadful conflict between Indian and Chinese soldiers on the night of 15 June. Now, here is an admission by a Chinese in an international publication which normally doesn't speak well of India. If you remember, NYT normally publishes pieces written by Imran Khan and his lackeys. So something of this nature coming out in the New York Times, which is doubting always India's intention and its capabilities, is really a game changer. And China will never admit it because for two reasons. One is President Xi Jinping is very averse to giving military its recognition in public light in China. This is not now. This has been there since the veterans of 1979 Vietnam conflict, where China got a bloody nose. And more importantly, China has built itself up an image of a muscular China, not the rise of peaceful China for the rise of China. And now is the time for China to take stock of the fact that are they really capable of holding the ground they claim they have.
And it's very rare to see China on the back foot, and this is what Indian Army has managed to achieve this time around. We're also opening the show for our viewers to join in and share their thoughts with us. In fact, I have a few callers with me already on the phone line. First, I want to go across quickly to Vishik, who's with us from Bengaluru. Go ahead, sir. What do you have to say on this?
My question is to Colonel Maruf. Maruf, sir, good morning. I always enjoy the conversations you would have at times. And what would your military brain say? I mean, you have 7 adversaries against China as we speak, you know, as opposed to the string of pearls which China seemed to be talking. On the contrary, it appears to be a string of whatever you may want to call it, you know, where China is currently encircled. So do you think Xi Jinping and his team of jokers would back out, on their excessive stand, given the kind of, what would you say? Given the kind of scenario we see, 7 countries against them as we speak?
Vishik, I would ask Maruf to answer to your question in just a bit. Let me quickly, Maruf, take a few more callers and then maybe we can, collectively answer some of them. Raj Dagur from Delhi is also on the phone line. Raj, go ahead. What do you have to say? Do you have a question or an observation to make on these images?
No, I have an observation to make that firstly, I'm very proud that our present Prime Minister is Narendra Modi, who comes from the very roots of this country. It's a country of brave men. They have always fought a righteous war, and we need not show any kind of weakness, even if the enemy is stronger. The Kauravas were stronger than the Pandavas, but the win was of Pandavas.
Thanks very much, Raj, for sharing your thoughts on that. Let me quickly ask Maruf to answer the question that the first caller put up. And definitely, Maruf, the Chinese would draw some lessons from this particular experience.
Yes, Preeti, I have been saying this for weeks now, and it's not just me, everybody, that this is a watershed mark again in Sino-Indian relations. And it has brought home the fact that there is a limit to which you can actually achieve more with China than with diplomatic talks, as we've seen in the past. And one of the reasons why our soldiers were not allowed to use weapons is because we were following the thumb rule that if you don't fire bullets on the LAC, then all is honky-dory. This has been proved wrong. And the very important aspect which I have been asking a lot of experts, that hasn't China chewed too much? Hasn't China, in a model like Hitler did in Second World War, opened up on too many fronts at the same time? Perhaps China's calculation was that world events have in the past served China well when there was attention distracted from China's local agenda, as in the case of 62. Right. This was fought in the same month as the Cuban Missile Crisis. Right now, China thought post-COVID, everyone's grappling with the problem at home, so China can get on with its salami slice operations. But quite clearly, China has borders with 14 countries, and some have argued that China has problems on 18 fronts and not 14. And South China Sea, at least 7 countries have ganged up against China.
Especially that miscalculation in terms of expecting India's response at the LAC would definitely serve as a lesson or two in future as far as their engagements in the area is concerned. Pradeep, I'm sorry I've not been able to come to you so far. I have to take another quick break here, and after that I'll definitely include you in this conversation. Please keep watching Times Now. Welcome back. You're watching our special show, and I want to quickly go across to our senior editor Pradeep Datta now, who's live with me on the broadcast. Pradeep, with this Chinese media report, would you say that the time has come for all those army doubters to really put a full stop to their questions that they have been raising even till today, that there have been massive Chinese intrusions on the Indian side of line of actual control? These pictures completely bust that claim.
Yes, Preeti, all I can say that after watching these visuals that had been shown on Chinese TV channel controlled by the Chinese government, this gang is left with no other option but to hang their head in shame. Why I'm saying this thing, unfortunate thing that whatever our government had been saying all these days, they were not ready to buy that word, because whatever was shown on Chinese media or the Chinese mouthpiece was showing. So they were ready to buy that propaganda, and that was like a gospel truth for them. And I think now they should see these visuals. One, in this visual you can see that our troops are carrying guns with them. They were not unarmed. Second, you look at the resoluteness, grit, determination with which they are guarding each and every inch of the border. Third is that when Indian Prime Minister said that they haven't crossed the line of actual control and taken control of the Galwan Valley. And you can see in these visuals, because had they taken control of the valley, our troops will not have been continuing with their infrastructure build-up as they are doing. It is not we people who are showing, neither these visuals are released by the government of India. These are the visuals being shown by China. And the third thing and important thing is that China is completely rattled. In fact, amalgamation of several reasons and factors are contributing to that. Reason being that one is the strong military response, third is the powerful diplomatic thrust, and third thing is that isolation at the international international level. That is in fact rattled China to an extent that now China is trying to play a victim card. Why China is playing a victim card? Because India hasn't surrendered. India has given them back. It was the treachery from their side. India was basically following the protocol, and that is one of the reasons that they didn't use arms, because there was an agreement that was signed in 1993 and again in 2003 and 2005. As per that agreement, whenever there is a kind of a face-off, the arms are not to be used. And Indian troops had been religiously following that agreement, but there was a treachery and barbarism from their side for which the China had to face a lot of criticism at the international level. And now what they are trying to do, they are trying to cover up everything. Look at these visuals. There is a helipad that is being constructed. The bridges are being constructed. That had in fact perturbed China, because China never ever wanted the infrastructure built up in that region. And it was with that intent that they came closer to the line of actual control. They wanted to deter India from doing so. But India continues to dominate scene, and now it is for the doubters gang.
Pradeep, it seems that the Indian forces were actually, instead of taking a back foot, they were marching forward, and that really spooked China. I want to go across to Major General G.D. Bakshi once again. General Bakshi, you know, this also teaches the doubters one lesson, that while it may be convenient for you politically to doubt your government, to doubt your forces, it doesn't serve any purpose in encouraging the men who are protecting us at the line of actual control, at the front lines, and some things are best left to the experts themselves instead of interpreting them as per your convenience.
That's what I say. Trust your boys. They will deliver. They have delivered in every conflict that you fought. You see, so trust the army, trust the armed forces. They are the salt of this earth. Boys, they are very tough. They are combat hardened. They can give it back to any enemy that is concerned. And China is not 10 feet tall. Let me be quite emphatic on that particular score. China is not 10 feet tall, and the Indians can give as good as they get. In fact, they have given better. You know, this is a defining moment in India's history. The whole world is watching you. The whole world is behind you. The whole world has observed how India has stood up to the dragon and made the Chinese blink. It is the Chinese who have moved back. You know, and if we go by the imagination of our armchair strategists, who had said initially that China had come 5 kilometers inside Galwan, then on their reckoning, look, on their reckoning, China has moved back 5 plus 7, 5 plus 2, 7 kilometers back. I think that by itself is a remarkable achievement for which any army can be proud of, any armed forces can be proud of. So that is the thing that we have to keep in mind, that the Indian army has come of age. It has given the world an example of how to stand up to Chinese aggression.
Sir, trust deficit amongst political opponents is something which is well known. But why have trust deficit in your own armed forces? We will in fact pursue that question even further. I have to take another quick break here on the bulletin. We'll be back in just a bit with our guests and reporters on the story. Stay with us.
Welcome back to this special broadcast on Times Now. Over the last 45 minutes, we've told you about the gallantry of our braves in Galwan, and more importantly, how the Chinese media is talking about our braves. Let's look at the set of pictures that we've accessed. Remember, these are not satellite images. We've shown them on Times Now over the last few weeks. But these are actual physical photographs captured by the Chinese and broadcast on their state-run media. Let's go over these pictures very, very quickly. Look at the body language. Once again, I want to focus on that. The Indian soldiers here marching ahead. This is the Galwan River in full spate, and they are trying to build a bridge. You see, this is the bridge that they are trying to make. We have highlighted this so that our viewers understand the context and the terrain. Let's look at the next one. This is the piece of metal part that they were carrying in this picture. This is that. A zoomed in close-up picture is here, and this is just a proof and a wake-up call for all those people who've said that our forces surrendered. No, they did not surrender. This is the Mazboot Bharat roaring, and that has rattled China and has dented their morale. Here once again you have our forces marching on, and you have one soldier who's crossed over, and you can see very, very faintly here what looks like a bridge which is coming up. and this is the helipad that the Chinese media is accepting, that this helipad is made by the Indians, and close to the helipad, this area, this is the Galwan river, and this is the Vainala area, and this is where the Indians were making a bridge, a temporary bridge to cross over. This is a proof, and this is another proof. This is the heavy earth moving the construction equipment brought in by our Indian forces around that area. And let's look at this one, the top angle shot. This is that area. Somewhere here is that helipad. Here you see the bridge that the forces have made. All this accepted by the Chinese media that does not believe that they were rattled, but the commentary sadly gives it away. The question is, will all the doubters wake up to the reality? Will they salute the bravery of our forces? We leave it at that. We are completely out of time. I thank all my guests. Preeti, thank you. We'll return with headlines on the other side.